My name is Hassan Sorrells, and this is the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast. Shorts. There's no co-host on Shorts. These are 2 to 4 minute observations, ideas, thoughts, or rants about the literature, philosophy, psychology, and theology of leadership. Because listening to me talk about leadership for 2 to 4 minutes is better than reading and trying to understand yet another business book. Artists, writers, thinkers, and even some scientists commonly struggle to make ends meet when the automobile wreck occurs at the intersection of creativity and need that's constantly policed by the bobby of limited trade-offs. The naive and the uninformed believe that creativity just quote-unquote happens and doesn't require much priming of the pump, and to a certain degree, they are correct. However, this is where the typist Isaac Asimov typically meets the auteur Donna Tartt, and they, oddly enough, have nothing to say to each other. The more informed and perhaps more cynical among us believe that creativity is pointless unless it's generating a profit, and that anything beside that profit, for shareholders, stakeholders, or any other type of person holding something of value, is frivolous at best and meaningless at worst. This is where a smiling Pablo Picasso or a smirking Andy Warhol, take your pick, meets an equally ribald P.T. Barnum, and Barnum attempts to bump Henry Ford rather vigorously, while Picasso or Warhol run away with his dropped wallet. It turns out that a cynical capitalist is lucky to stay connected to his money after all. And thus we get to the conundrum played out in the world of comic art and narrative storytelling. On average, in the 1990s, an artist or writer of comic book intellectual property who worked for either Marvel, now fully owned by the Mouse House, or DC, now fully disowned by Warner Media, could only make around $32 a page for his or her work, and no subsequent royalties from reprints. What this means is all those stories that have become iconic from comic book creators you know, like George Perez, Louise Simonson, Frank Miller, Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, and many, many others, were reprinted and redistributed to the mass market and helped build the brands of corporations and of superheroes you know the names of. We call this practice work for hire, or golden handcuffs. Because $32 a page times 30 plus pages times 12 months in a year seems pretty good if you're A, driven to make comics, and B, really like the idea of drawing men and women in lycra spandex for the amusement of prepubescent and pubescent boys for the remainder of your life. However, the trade-off is that you'll get just enough money to never quit and have to take just enough abuse to remind you of your place in the hierarchy. Now, this is not a new thing in the history of the arts or letters. People of all stripes with all sorts of motivations have been trying to lowball, rip off, or otherwise con artists throughout the centuries because, in general, artists of all stripes and persuasions, no matter their form of art, quote-unquote, just want to be left alone. To make songs, write poems, draw or paint pictures, or do anything else that gets their creative juices going. And to hell with food, water, and shelter. However, over the course of the last 120 years, this practice has reached its peak while the promises of capitalism were fully realized. And then you factor in the free distribution machine of the internet, and suddenly Donna Tartt writing 3 novels in 20 years while working as a professor looks like a good business decision. Just like sitting down at the typewriter and banging out 400 plus novels, of which a handful can only be considered art, sounds good as well. Either flood the zone or trickle into it, but don't go in with half measures. And this is what makes golden handcuffs golden for the person making the handcuffs, but nothing more than tarnished brass for the person choosing to wear them. There are 3 lessons from this ramble that should be obvious to leaders who are paying attention. Lesson number 1, don't believe someone when they come to you and try to get you to do something that you're good at for free or a discount to grant you quote-unquote exposure. Leaders get paid, and janitors, tree trimmers, and plumbers don't need exposure. Lesson number 2, make hay while the sun shines. If you're going to put on the golden handcuffs, have a limited time frame in your head of how long exactly you plan on wearing them. Getting weaned off of mother's milk isn't just for the infants and the captive among us. Lesson number 3, go hard to the zone on your art. When leaders lead with half measures, either half in or half out, they make the mistake of compromise, not with their art, but with themselves. Fully commit or don't commit at all, and then make a plan to get paid from as many different methods as you can. By the way, one last thought for the capitalists, business majors, accounting firms, stock pickers, day traders, and all those other wizards of money smart who believe they'll win the game in the end by arbitraging with money rather than beauty. Just like you want to get paid for the investment you made into learning to read the tea leaves from the Federal Reserve's cup of morning Earl Grey, the artists made an investment of the last few years of their lives to do the same, with beauty, with grandeur, and with their passion. Always pay the talent. And that's it for me. Follow us on all the places that you follow us. Please subscribe to Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast. Please tell your friends. Please like and share. Please also check out the HSCT website for all products and solutions. Please check out the Leading Keys website for products and solutions, our remote trading services, our books, our trainings that will help you become a better leader. And watch this space for more information about our upcoming book, 12 Rules for Leaders. A foundational guide to intentional leadership, coming in April 2022. Please also go to HassanSorrells.com for more blogs and more posts about how you can be a better leader, and check out all of our YouTube channels online. Thanks, and have a great rest of your leadership day. Out.